Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Cruisers Podcast. I'm Alex.
And I'm Derek. It's great to see you today.
Good to see you too, Derek. Man, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty tired today. Just getting back from cruising again. I've got another one, and I know you have another one coming up in the next couple of weeks. Man, I'm ready to take a nap.
I know it is. Summertime is always busy. It is. There's always so much going on. It's funny too because when you think summertime, you think just relaxing. You think of summer break. You think of just chilling out by the pool. That's not always the case. That's fantasy world. But in reality, there are things to do. It's a more busy time. There are more events and family reunions and weddings and graduation parties. And of course, cruising mixed in there too. And that's why we're here. We appreciate all of you being here, the Cruisers Podcast. There are so many of you who are new. You've caught up on the first 4 episodes, and now here you are. You're sharing your ideas of what you want to hear. You have questions about cruising. You're new to cruising, or you're new to cruising a different cruise line, and you're asking those questions, and we are here to help answer those questions and to give some honest feedback, not just maybe the answer that you'll always hear from someone who loves cruising, although we do love cruising.
That's right. I think there is a cruising addiction that runs in my family, and I know it absolutely runs in your veins as well.
Yeah.
So let's just go ahead and dive in. So we were just talking before the show, and I know you guys have a cruise coming up, but let's dive into your Carnival Breeze cruise. I was actually shocked. I was on my Alaskan cruise, and of course I check Facebook before I go to bed, and you guys post a YouTube reel, and it's like 12:30 in the morning, and you guys are headed to Galveston. I'm like, that's insane. So I want you to just walk me through, because I know you guys have been looking for a cruise to take the boys on and let them have some fun. But man, I think you guys are the definition of that was a last minute. I guess somebody probably had a cancellation and you were able to snag their room. Tell me how all that happened.
Yeah, that is, it was really crazy. Schedules are tight, like we just talked about for everyone. Summertime is crazy. And there are people out there who have a 4-day stretch, a 5-day stretch where they don't have anything to do. And they may think, man, I would like to go on a cruise, but maybe you're opposed to anything less than a 7-day cruise. I used to be that person. Or maybe
Yep.
you don't think you can get on board. There's this concept that cruises close 3 days before the sail date. I see that on social media every single day. Someone says, I want to go on a last second cruise. And people comment, well, you can't go because the book's closed within 3 days. No. So, Alex, here's our experience I'll share with you. We knew we had the weekend off. We were looking for either a road trip or a cruise, and they turn out to cost just about the same thing. So, Wednesday night, 9:58 p.m., I find an opening on the Carnival Breeze that leaves the next day, Thursday, 12 hours. We're within 12 hours of final boarding. And I asked Amanda, do you want to do this? And she's like, you're crazy. Do you really want to do this? It is 10 o'clock at night. We haven't packed. We have an 8-hour drive. 8 of the 12 hours are driving. It's the first time that I've ever said, I might need a timeout and make sure we have enough time here. What if you have a flat tire? What if there's that Houston traffic?
Yep.
We pulled the trigger, though. We booked it. We packed until about midnight. Now, some may say, why did it take you that long to pack? You have to remember, we have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old who have to pick out what toys they want to bring. They always get half of one side of the suitcase for toys, one side of the suitcase for clothes. So we packed until midnight. We slept until 2:30 a.m. We woke up, hit the road, and we got to Galveston at 11 o'clock a.m., walked right on board the ship. And it was the very last minute, last second cruise that I've ever booked in my life. But it was awesome. And it was only 4 days. And some people will get into that as well. If our 4-day cruise is even worth it, that may be one of your questions. But it was an absolute blast.
Yeah, I thought it was the coolest video. One of the videos was of you guys actually surprising the kiddos. I think
Yeah.
you gave them the email or the confirmation, and you allowed them to read it. And your boys are old enough now to where cruising is like really fun for them.
It
And
is.
just to see, if you haven't gone to see the YouTube short that Derek and Amanda posted on their YouTube channel, you have to go see it. It's really, really a cool thing. And I love those surprise videos. A lot of people, will surprise their family for birthday cruises. And I
Yeah.
actually surprised my dad with a Father's Day cruise. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But I just love seeing the surprises on people's faces. If they're 5, 8, or 80, I mean, cruising is fun for everyone and you can make the best of it. So
Yeah.
I can't, yeah, it's so, so cool.
It is, and you're spot on there. All of our content we shoot is it will push the button and go. So there is no staging. There's nothing like that, and you can tell in our content. My 8-year-old can read, and he read your cruise starts in one day. I mean,
Yeah,
he
he's
read it
like,
out
what?
there. And yes, was genuinely surprised. He had no clue we were going to cruise in one day. But you've hit it spot on. The fun that you have, the experiences you have, the surprises that you have when you're on your trip, when you're on board. That's what it's all about. And just talking about a 4-day cruise in general, some people are totally against them. I will not do them. It's not long enough. Do you even unpack your bag? Yes, you unpack your bag. It's one of the first things you do. Make it home for 4 days.
Yes,
After all, 4 days is over half of a 7-day cruise, right?
that's right.
So it's yes, it is short, but there's so much that is involved there, and I'll get into that some. That way, some people who live close to a port who may look into a 4-day cruise, maybe you never have before, but you can look into it. I want to debunk a couple of myths first. Okay, the first one is a 4-day cruise is always a booze cruise. You've probably heard that, haven't you?
Oh yeah, I've made a 4-day cruise, a booze cruise.
Exactly. Now, I've been on 7-day cruises, 8-day cruises, 15-day cruises that you could probably consider were booze cruises. Like you look
That's
around
right.
Lido Deck, you look around the nightclub, you look around at night. There's
Yep.
people stumbling. I mean, there might be a higher number of drinks poured per day if you took the average of a 4-day cruise than a 7-day cruise. But it is not just a slop fest where people are bouncing off
Right.
the walls and are falling out on Lido Deck. It is not that at all.
No.
Uh, I think you have a mixture of everything. I think there are some people who take that 4-day cruise and who need to get away, need a mental break, uh, and they will lay there in their Lido Deck chair for more hours on the 4-day cruise than they
Hmm.
will the 7-day cruise. Because the 7-day cruise,
Right.
they just have more days. 4 days, I need to get away. I just want to lay here.
Yes.
I want to relax. Yes, bring me
Yeah.
another drink, but I want to get away. And so they're not always booze cruises. Number one. Number two, the favorite things that you like from your cruise line that are offered on a 7-day cruise are going to be offered on a 4-day cruise, but they can't fit everything in there. So people ask me, is there even do they even do a sail away party on a 4-day cruise? Of course they do. Do they have
Yep.
comedy shows on a 4-day cruise? Yes, yeah, they do. Do the hours of operation change for Guy's Burger, for Blue Iguana, for Mongolian Walk? No, they're open the exact same times as they are on 7-day cruises. Are there shows at night? Yes, there are. Are there deck parties? Yes. And so the 4-day version of a cruise, they can't fit everything in, but they still offer everything involved. I think there's some people who hold back from booking a 4-day cruise because they think, oh, they're not going to do anything this cruise. It's only 4 days. They're not going to wine and dine me. Yes, they are. They really are. And so I wanted to share those couple of things up front because those are the two reasons why I see people saying I'm not booking a 4-day cruise.
Yeah, and you also hit the nail right on the head as well. A lot of people ask me, "Hey, we really want to go on a cruise our first time. Which line do you suggest?" And of course, they give you the all the questions, and they say, "Should we do 7-day cruise? 3, 4, 5?" And I always tell them, I mean, if you are a little skeptical of cruising, definitely go on a 3, 4, 5 day sailing just to
Yeah.
kind of test it out because if you're on there for 2 or 3 nights and you don't like it, at least you're going to get off in the next day
Yep.
or two. But we took a family friend on an 8 night sailing on the Carnival Dream last July, very first sailing, and we took her on 8 nights. So
Mm.
it was like you better love this thing because we can't turn around. And let me tell you, she had the best time of her life. She took her 13-year-old boy and, of course, my 13-year-old brother at the time and 6 or 7-year-old niece at the time. They had the best time ever. And we talked about that in one of our last couple of episodes of
Yeah.
it's so hard to drag those kids away from the water park.
Oh
And
man.
I think I saw one of your posts on this cruise that you guys just got off of. You had like a whole day in the water park with the kids, and I think you and Amanda did the slides. And
Yeah.
you know what was the adult to kid ratio on these water slides? I think people would be surprised. These are not just for kids.
They are not. They are not. I encourage everyone to take part in some of these activities that maybe you don't think of when cruising. And some of you are like, "No, I booked for the water features." Um,
Yep.
but if you don't get in the pool or the hot tubs, find a way. Find a time to get in there. For instance, I'm probably not going to get into the pool uh, on Lido Deck at 2 o'clock p.m. There's too many people. There's been too
Yeah.
many liquids and juices flowing. Okay, but a
Yeah.
hot tub in Serenity at 7 a.m. They change the water every single night. Okay, so I wake up
Yep.
in the morning at 7 o'clock, no one's in there. Get in the hot tub. Find a
Oh,
way
that
that
sounds
you
so
can
nice.
use some of the yes, because some people are just so against it. Instead of trying to think through the logistics of it, they change the water every night. I get up early anyway. I'm going to enjoy the hot tub at 7 a.m. Try to do it. The same is
Yep.
true about waterworks or the water park on any cruise line. They build these things to have the splash pad and to have all the water features and sprays and sprouts that my 5-year-old loves, but they also have the water slides. And Alex, as you said, the ratio to adults versus children in the line for water slides was probably 50-50. And some of them, like myself, okay, I got it easy because I've got an 8-year-old. I'm like, yeah, you want to do the water slide? Yeah, let's go
Sure.
on the water slide. But some of these adults don't have any kids with them. They're doing the water slide as they would at a water park on land. They literally say, I want to go do the water slide. And these water slides that are on these cruise ships, they're not just a little bitty whee, when it's done. I mean, it is
Right.
unbelievable to see uh, the the length of the slide. Some of these slides are 20 seconds, 25 seconds long, and with all kinds of twists and things like that. Now, the Breeze has two slides in particular. One of them is they call the Twister, the yellow water slide, and it does. I mean, you'll go okay. And my 8-year-old found a difference in when he wears his his shirt, the
Hmm.
sunscreen or whatever, the protective
Yeah.
shirt versus you take your shirt off, okay, and you go faster when you don't have your shirt on. Yeah, you do, Bubba, you do. You want to go faster? Let's spray some of that sunscreen on you, and now let's go
Yeah.
down. And
Yeah.
but
Here's some baby oil.
that's right, that's right. And they've also got the drain, the drain pipe water slide where it's
Oh
like the
yeah.
toilet bowl, right? You go down there, but it is a blast. And cruise lines have done a great job, especially the Dream Class. If you're looking
Hmm.
for a ship and you want some of those features because you're bringing kids, the Breeze in particular has it's 3 stories of different especially my 5-year-old, but even like for adults. Amanda, for instance, she didn't go down the water slide, but she would play with my youngest, and there's all kinds of little buckets that fall over, and the big
Hmm.
drencher bucket that is 500 gallons of water, and dumps over. But you can stand in there and stay cool instead of staying, in your
Yes.
lounger and sweating to death. It was a blast, and we spent, I mean, hours there every single day, staying cool. And here's a pro tip for you: there's not bar service up there. It's deck 12. It's close to Lido Deck. You can walk down to Lido Deck, in about a minute and get your own drinks. But one thing I do, and some of you may not like this, but it was important to me. Everyone cruises different. Amanda and I, we spend all day with our boys. We don't take them to the kids club until after dinner, about 7 o'clock, before we go to a show. Um, Not that there's anything wrong with taking them during the day. We just want to have fun with them. We're taking them
Sure.
with us on a cruise. But I always go down to the Lido Deck and find a server. I say, hey, we're up here at the water park. We got 2 kids. We're going to be up there for 2 or 3 hours. Would you mind, serving us up there? And what would you like to drink? And it's easiest if you have the same drink over and over. For instance,
Yes.
if you're just drinking a Miller Lite, okay? I give the guy $20 right there. Bam. Just take care of us every now and then. And what eventually would happen is he's on Lido deck, deck 10, and we're up on deck 12. And I could just look over deck 12, and he's down there. He would look for me. Alex, I swear, he was just waiting there.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
just, and whenever he saw me, and I said, "Hey, another round," he'd bring another round. I'd give him a couple dollars. But I'm telling you, he was locked in, just waiting for the signal to bring more. And so that was fun too. Something that because people say, "Oh, kids drain a cruise. You're not going to have fun if you bring your kids." You've got to think outside the box. You've got to think.
yeah.
It was neat because Amanda and I, while we're playing with the kids and things like that, we were still being wined and dined. We were being
Hmm.
served, and so yeah, it cost some money, but that was worth it. At that point, to still get that service, so that was really cool.
Yeah, that's actually a really cool idea. It's like, hey, let's go find us a server and say, hey, we're going to be up here. If you want to come up here,
Yeah,
great. If not, I get it. But in I think it was our last episode, we talked about the big T, which is tipping on cruise ships.
yeah,
Hey, you gave him $20 and and you tipped him every extra,
a couple
for
yep,
every other drink he
yep,
got. So,
yep,
um, one of the questions I want to ask you is, on these 4-day sailings, is it worth it to get the drink package, or is it better to just experience it on a 7-day cruise? Or
yeah.
what did you and Amanda do? I don't even think I asked you that yet. Did y'all get the drink package this time?
Yeah. So one of the crazy things about this trip was we booked it at right around 10 o'clock, and the cutoff to purchase Cheers at the discounted rate and the internet package at the discounted rate ends at 11 o'clock p.m. Central Time,
Ooh,
midnight. And so after we booked, we start kind of to pack a little bit. I said, Amanda, I've got to buy Cheers now, or we're going to pay more on board
yes.
and internet as well. We did go ahead and book the Cheers package. There's multiple reasons. Of course, it's alcoholic drinks and non-alcoholic drinks. You can order one of each at a time. We do order bottles of water and Gatorades for our boys. I'll raise my hand, and yes, we order drinks for our kids too.
Yeah.
Um, but the Carnival Breeze, being a Dream Class ship, has some of those bars that we really enjoy. The Steakhouse bar is one in particular. We did not eat at the steakhouse, but you better believe that we went into the steakhouse where there's a bar that sits 10 or 12 people, and we enjoyed Christine Duffy's favorite drink on board, a watermelon martini made with fresh
Oh,
watermelon. It is unreal.
man, that sounds good.
Oh, it is unreal. And then, of course, there's a lot of bottles of wine. I'm not a huge wine connoisseur. I do, and maybe enjoy a glass on a cruise ship when I'm eating a nice meal or something. But there's bottles of wine in there that are $200, but the price per glass is covered in Cheers. And so, if you really like wine, they're going to have the same selection all over the ship, except for the steakhouse. So stop by there, get you a glass of wine. You can take it with you to your dinner if you're going to the main dining room or somewhere else. And then, of course, they have Alchemy Bar, which is one of my favorite places on earth. And I say that I enjoy the interaction with the alchemist. I enjoy, especially on the Dream Class, it is in Ocean Plaza where there's live music.
Hmm.
So it was really neat there in the evenings to sit there and have a couple of drinks and to get to know other cruisers, to get to know the alchemist, of course. And I've got a crazy story about one of the alchemists I'll share with you. I didn't even plan on it. But one of the alchemists there, I walk up and she like, she's like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. And I'm like, they weren't open yet. I was like, I know you're not open yet. We're just walking around trying to see anything. She's like, no. She said, I applied for a job with Carnival Cruise Line and I got the job with Carnival Cruise Line. She said, I'd never seen a cruise ship. I didn't even know what Carnival Cruise Line was. I didn't know about the funnel. I didn't know anything. She said, when I got the job, I went online to start searching what is Carnival Cruise Line and what is it like? What are the ships like? What am I even going to be doing? She had no clue what she's going to be doing. And she said,
Right.
I found your videos. And
Oh man, that's
I
cool.
watched you for 6 months before I joined a ship. And she's like,
That's cool.
it's crazy that you're standing here in front of me. And so it was really, really, really neat to get to know her and the other alchemist, and it's just one reason, and that story in general is just a it sums up cruising, right? The
Yeah.
relationships and friendships we make with cruisers and with crew members. But we did purchase cheers and enjoy those evenings, especially after we dropped the kids off, and of course, even enjoying the violinist at the
Oh, those are my
atrium
favorite.
bar. It's so I think it is totally worth it on those short cruises to let loose a little bit, and I think even it may provide more value on 4 and 5 day cruises than 7 day cruises because the average person on a 7 day cruise may not get their money's worth for the entire cruise. It's hard to hang, drink 8 or 10 a day for 7 days. Whereas
Yeah,
a 4 day cruise out of Galveston paying a 3 day cheers package might actually be more worth it than the 7 day.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's definitely a lot cheaper. And, you brought up a good point of you do have a window of opportunity to save quite a bit of money
Oh, yeah.
on Wi-Fi, Cheers package, Bubbles package, spa
Yeah.
reservations. Um, you may not save a ton of money, but it adds up over time, especially if you are on one of those 4 and 5 day cruises and you're like, I just want to. This is like a mental health cruise. I'm going to take care of me this cruise. I may not go to all the fancy dinners, but I want to spend time in the spa. I want to spend time relaxing by the pool and enjoying these drinks because I don't have a ton of time here. So I'm
Yep.
going to make every single minute worth it. And that goes exactly back to what you were saying is these people do spend a little bit more time at the pool because their time on the entire
You got
ship
it.
is limited. And that goes to my next question. I know you and I both love lobster tail night.
Yeah.
Now, on these 4 and 5 night sailings, um, did you guys go to the dining room every night, or were you guys like, you know what, we don't have a lot of time, so we're gonna have Guy's Burger one night.
Yeah.
We're gonna hit up the buffet one night. Um,
Yeah.
if you did go for formal night, how busy was the dining room? Does everybody get themselves involved in that? Does everybody dress up really nice, or are people just more? Let's just go with the flow, and if
Yeah.
we want to go, we'll go. If not, we'll hit up the buffet and get some ice cream after.
Yeah, great questions. It really is. And I think these are some of the questions that people have about 4 and 5 day cruising. Um, we went to the main dining room every night, which is not the norm for us at all. But one reason why we went is for the reason that you said. Most people were very casual. Most people
Hmm.
were taking advantage of every minute. And dining sometimes can be a 60-minute, 90-minute event, and people were not going. They were Other people were enjoying the buffet and Guy's Burger and alternate options, bonsai sushi and things like that. We had anytime dining, which I had to get on board and work towards that. There was only late dining available whenever we booked our
Ooh,
cruise because it was 12 hours out. But I was able to get on board, go speak to the maitre d, let him know that I've got an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old, and the 8:15 dining that's not going to work. That's not
yeah,
going to happen.
yeah.
So they moved us to anytime, and our longest meal was between 45 and 50 minutes, which is insane. They got us in and out. We checked in at
That
5:15 every day.
that's awesome.
It was great. It was great, and we sit in the same section, had the same waiters every single night. We were by the windows, which was great. I didn't even request that, but the menu was great. There's not a cut in options per se. You still have 4, 5, 6 appetizers and entrees and desserts. There was a formal night. Now, I will say it is way less formal than what you'll see on 7 night
Yeah.
cruises. And I just wore something like this, and I think I
Hmm.
wore shorts, dress shorts.
Yeah.
But no one said anything, and most people wore about that. You didn't see hoodies and things like that,
Yeah.
but you did not see very many, suits or ties, things like that. So
Gowns.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And so you may have seen, just a regular dress or something, but not everything
Yeah.
all dolled up. And so, but we really enjoyed it. There was that formal night. Now there's no lobster tail. Okay, so we will clarify that
What?
here. So no one says so. Hey, I went there and there is no lobster tail for free. Of course, you can purchase even like the Fahrenheit 555 selection for $24 if you wanted theirs, but they did have prime rib that night, and they had some other selections as well. But the service was great, and I think if you're cruising on a 4 or 5 night cruise, and maybe you don't always go to the main dining room, you might try going, because the other venues on the ship are going to have long lines. People just they don't eat in the main dining room usually on these shorter cruises, and that could lead to a better experience for you if you know to go there.
Yeah, and if you've never cruised before, Derek and I call it, lobster tail night. But if you do want to go on a cruise and just really have a laid back cruise, I tell you what, I just got back from Alaska for my second time this season, and I took a friend with me who's never cruised before, and I asked her, what are you most excited about cruising? And she says, I just want to see the people living their best life. And I'm like,
Mm,
well, going on cruises is the way to go. And I said, if you want some really, really good people watching on formal night, lobster tail night, let's go sit down at the main lobby bar and let's find us a seat, get us a drink, and let's watch all the people go get their pictures taken.
yes.
They're going to be all dolled up. We had people that it was actually such a cool thing, and I've never seen it before. We went the first week of June, so a lot of people were graduating high school, a lot of people graduating college.
Yeah.
This was the coolest thing that we saw. There was a guy that had just graduated high school, and he wore his cap and gown, and he got his pictures taken with his
Oh
mom.
wow.
I thought that was the kind of a really unique thing, because that was probably his big graduation present,
Yeah.
and he got his senior pictures taken on the ship, and it was so cool. They went to
Wow.
all the different stations, and when I cruise with my family, and there's quite a bit of us, we always will do captain's night, formal night. We'll always dress up pretty nice, and we love to get that yearly
Yeah.
family photo.
Yeah.
It's just so fun to go be a part of it, and especially just to go people watch. It was just, we had a blast. Do you
Yeah.
guys ever go get your pictures taken at those little
Yeah.
sections?
Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, usually it's yearly, and it's usually it's a summons from Amanda. Before the
Yeah,
cruise, she says, "Okay, this is the cruise. I've bought these outfits for the boys. I need you
matching
to."
shirts.
Yeah, to bring this colored shirt, and usually I'm like, I don't think I have anything. She's like, yeah, you got these three. Which one do you want? I'm like, which one do you
Yeah,
want? But
yeah,
it's always like, okay, this one is it. We are taking pictures for this one, and it's gotten easier over time. Of course, you know how it is with small kids sometimes. Like, hey, look at the camera. Come on, look at the
yeah.
camera,
Oh my gosh, I know it's.
and they take 100 pictures, but they do a good job of at least having some to choose from. And so, one thing that I will remind people is there's a large group of people that don't like to have their picture taken at all. This is free to do so. These are stations that have different backdrops every single night. If you don't like one or two, keep walking around the ship. You're probably
Yes,
going to find one
yes.
that you like, from very elegant to a backdrop of a nice ship behind you, to a backdrop of one of the port of calls you're going to visit. Um, they're free. They're absolutely free to do. So take a second, and you can let the photographer know, hey, we got like 2 minutes here.
Yes,
Because you
yes.
don't want to stop and waste 20 or 30 sometimes, but you don't mind taking a few pictures. Hey, we got 2 minutes. You mind taking a few shots of us? And of course they will. You'll be able to see the pictures on your Hub app, or you can go to Pixels and enter in your folio number and see it that way. And then you can, of course, purchase them through there. Now, it could get expensive if you purchase a lot of them, but I want people to know up
Oh
front,
yeah,
there's no cost to take these unless you want a private session. They do those, and that does cost.
yeah.
Otherwise, it's
Oh yeah.
free to do so. And it's fun even just to look back. A 7 night cruise, maybe you took pictures that first formal night, and you were having a good time, and everyone was dressed up already. And you look back, on day 5 and 6, and you're going through your pictures, and you're like, man, that was a great night. We had a great
Yeah.
meal. We went to a comedy show. We stayed out late, and we went to the nightclub. And you think, man, that was just a great night. And then all of a sudden, you buy the picture because of the memory that was tied to the picture and those
Yes.
people. And so, I also want to point out that those photographers, they're always working. They are,
Oh
and
yeah.
sometimes you feel like, man, they're they're almost harassing me to take my picture, and they're just asking. They do have a quota, that they of
Hmm.
pictures that they have to take every day. So whenever they ask you, "Hey, would you like your picture?" When you're getting off the ship and you don't want to stop, it's like, "Hey, would you want to take a picture?" Um, they're just trying to do their job and reach their quota. And
Right.
if you say,
Yeah.
no, thank you, then they will move on. So just want to share some of that context as well.
Yeah, and even if you go in, just like you said, Derek, and you're like, we're not going to buy any of these pictures.
Yep.
It's just kind of fun. It's just a way to kill 5-10 minutes. If you know,
Yep.
if you have a reservation at the steakhouse at 6 o'clock and you're ready to go at 5:30, it's like let's just go snap a few pictures.
Yeah.
And on the Luminosa, which is one of the ships I just got off of, they don't put the pictures on the Hub app. They still print the pictures, super old school. And it's so fun because I'm not sure if you guys have experienced this, but you'll go in and you'll go through security to check in to get on the ship, and you see a couple, or you see like somebody wearing a funky shirt, and you see them. It's like, are they following me or am I
Yeah.
following them? It's like you see the same couple of
Yeah.
people every single day.
Yep.
And then my friend Jennifer and I, we would go look at the pictures that they printed, and we'd be like, "Oh my gosh, you remember those people that we saw on check-in day?" And it's just fun. And
It is fun.
I do have a question, and I don't know if you know the answer to this, but have you ever wondered what do they do? I know they can recycle the pictures that they print
Yeah.
somehow, but I know that ink is expensive, and
Oh
I
my
know that
goodness.
that's why they've kind of transitioned to the digital world,
Yeah.
which makes more sense. But goodness, what do they do? I mean, there's
What do they do with all those pictures?
thousands
Yeah.
and thousands of pictures that they print every
Yep.
day
Yep.
because people are saying, "Yeah, I'll get my picture taken." What in the
Yep.
world do they do with all that?
I don't know. I don't know. And even I'm not sure what they do with those pictures, but even some of these ships like the Breeze who have transitioned to the digital pixels, they still have that space on deck four, and they still have the
Hmm.
kind of the slider and the holders, but they're not putting
Yeah.
those pictures out there anymore. And I thought we've been on the Breeze 8 or 9 times, and I was like, when are they going to get rid of those and probably add, I guess, more shops or something? There's not a ton of room there, but some of those. I had some of the same questions, and even had questions like, how do ships see their sails change when they switch from the pictures that you can walk around and see and grab and hold and touch and take with you
Hmm.
versus the digital? If you buy it, you can download it to your phone, or you can have it printed. I wondered how sails changed as well with pixels whenever they made that transition. I don't know.
That's a really good point because when you do log into your Hub app and you look at those pictures, they've got that big, big Carnival watermark all over it, and you
Oh yeah,
really, it's like you can see what the picture looks like,
yeah,
but to physically hold that
yes,
photo in your hand, that's a really good question, Derek. I'm curious how sales changed
yeah,
because I've seen so many people screenshot on their phone and
yeah,
they do their best to remove that Carnival watermark, but you can still see it,
yeah,
and it's just buy the picture, and we don't want to,
yeah,
because that's considered copyright, and you don't want
yeah.
to take it and all that. But yeah,
And
that's a really good question.
listen, I've seen people go as far as screenshot the picture with the Carnival watermark, and if you haven't seen it, it's Carnival, Carnival, Carnival all over the picture,
Yeah.
not just one. And listen, I've been to people's houses who print these off with the watermark, and they're in their house, and I'm like, do you realize that I can see you about 30 or 40%, and I can see the
Yeah.
Carnival watermark like 60%? What are you
Yes.
doing?
Yep.
If you
I mean,
like
I
it
guess they're
that
trying
much,
to represent.
yeah, buy the picture. But it was crazy. It was. Um,
Yeah, I was on a solo cruise January before last, and I kind of needed to update my jobs. I had the word in my head a couple minutes ago. Um,
the headshot.
just like I needed
Yep.
a professional headshot
Yep.
done, and I was walking to dinner, and I was wearing a green sweater, and was like, "Hey, I don't want to do any silly poses. I need something that looks like this." And I showed them a
Yep.
picture of what I'm looking for, and they're like, "Done deal, we'll do it." And I bought it, and it's my headshot at work. It's
Oh,
from
that's
a Carnival
awesome.
cruise.
That is
So
awesome.
I mean, just go get yourself a headshot done if you need one.
Yeah.
Um, but
Again, for
so
free. If you don't like them, don't buy them.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I think so I want to ask you one question again. So I think it was your last night you guys went Facebook Live, or you went YouTube Live,
Yeah.
and I was watching your video, and I had just gotten back from my cruise, so I was trying to catch up with everything. You guys were talking a little bit about, I think the ship, it might be time to go in for a dry dock because one of the things you guys were sitting outside of Alchemy, and guys, when you cruise in the Caribbean, it is humid as all get out.
Oh yeah.
But there was a lot of condensation on the ceiling, and I love Carnival. I will take a bullet for Carnival. I'm not trying to throw Carnival under the bus, but I did notice that whole ceiling and that whole area was just full of condensation. And
Yeah.
I'm wondering, did that cause like a tripping hazard for anybody, or did they do a pretty good job at cleaning it up?
Yep, yep. And Alex, again, you're spot on. And I would do anything for Carnival. I'd jump in front of the bus and try to stop the bus.
Yep, yep,
Um, it was interesting because, like I said, we have cruised the Breeze so many times over the last decade. We have cruised the Breeze when she was the ship. She had just come out. She was the mothership. She
yeah.
was it. She was cruising a 7-day cruises, and she's the most expensive to book. She had all the bells and whistles. She was cutting edge. And then we've seen
She
her
was the
through.
jubilee of that time.
Yes. And it's like almost a child. You see your child grow up, and you see these ships
Yeah,
grow up, and you see,
yeah,
and here comes Toy Story, right? The Toy Story reference where the newer and bigger ships come, and then the older ships, and Buzz gets there, and Woody's got to, he doesn't get as much attention. And we've seen the Breeze go through now. She's selling, 4 and 5 day cruises, and she maybe not be, what she once was. She still has so much to offer, and that's why we keep going back time after time. But we could really tell in certain areas, especially that condensation. It is a safety issue, especially when the condensation is falling on tile. It can be very
yeah,
slippery. Now, Carnival had
yeah,
wet floor signs out. If it was really bad, they had crew members there with dry mops trying to wipe up
yeah.
the condensation. But one thing that I never noticed, and we're cruising in June, but we've been on the Breeze when it's been warmer or just as warm. So I don't know what was going on there, but it's like the entire Ocean Plaza, I showed it on the video, had condensation, and I'd never had it drip on me before. Like you might be able to see
Hmm.
water up there, but it's not enough. It's dripping on you. It's dripping in your drink. And
Yeah,
so that was kind of odd there. And just like our personal vehicles, just like the home that we own, uh,
sure.
we've
Yeah,
got to we've got to keep things maintained and up to date. And I am
yeah.
in no way saying that the Breeze is not sell worthy or anything like that, but she has the wear and tear of a decade plus old cruise ship that you would expect, right? Um,
Absolutely.
and
It's
so,
crazy to hear you say she's a decade old because yeah, like you said, I remember when she first came out.
yeah,
She was the real deal at that time.
yeah, yeah. And she's been in Galveston almost a decade alone, besides
Insane.
and it really is. And I would leave tomorrow to go on her again. But
Yeah.
you can tell that dry dock schedule and cruise lines are really ramping up dry docks right now. And one thing I love about the current dry dock situation is we're back to pre-pandemic times when cruise lines would bring in a ship and spend a good chunk of money. They're not just
Hmm.
changing the carpets and some of the bedding and slapping some paint on there. They're redoing venues. They're changing it. Hey, let's take all the bar stools and throw them away and put new ones there. Because after COVID, money was tight. They would bring them in. They'd really check the mechanical systems and make sure everything's working. Upgrade some of the technology, and if anything needed to happen with propulsion, they'd do that. And yeah, they'd change the carpet because it gets worn. But now they really are spending money again, and they're adding venues. If you look and see what Royal Caribbean's doing with the Allure of the Seas, I think it's $130 million
Yeah.
investment.
Yeah.
Again, modernizing the ship, changing out a lot of the furniture, and adding venues. That's what we used to see. It used to be a huge deal when these ships go to dry dock. It would be like, what new venues are they going to get? And you see Carnival
Yep.
doing that, adding the Heroes Bar to some of these ships and things like
Yes.
that. Cruise
Yes.
lines are starting to spend again on dry docks, and that is exciting news because a lot of us, whether we like it or not, we cruise some of the same ships over and over because we leave from the same home port. And so it's nice when a ship goes to dry dock and it comes back and it's got a new venue or two,
Sure.
or they really have kind of changed the design of it. They've changed the
Yep.
carpets out, and now, and you know how this goes when you remodel your house and you change the paint on the wall or you change your flooring, it changes the whole room. It changes the
It
whole
does. It
experience,
does.
and so it's neat to see cruise lines doing that.
I think back in the day, didn't they call it Funship 2.0 or something
Yes.
where they like did the
Yeah.
big upgrades? I'm ready for Funship
Oh
3.0,
my
guys.
gosh.
Like let's and you're right. It's just the small changes go such a long
They
way,
do.
and I can understand. I mean, if it's an older ship and she's been downgraded to 4 and 5 day sailings, do we want to spend a bunch of money on doing that if it's just 4 and 5 day sailings?
Yeah.
I think there's a big reason why they do these 3, 4, and 5 day sailings because it is a money maker, guys. I
Oh,
mean,
big
think
time.
about it. If you're going on a 3, 4, or 5 day sailing, you are more than likely going to get that drink package. Whereas on the 7 day sailings, it might be more than your cruise fare to get the drink package because it is so expensive. And so I think these are big money makers. And just a couple of weeks ago, I posted a picture of the Carnival Breeze pulling into Costa Maya when
Yeah.
I took it from the Carnival Jubilee, and I said something like, "I really wish Carnival would make ships in this class again."
Yeah.
And I maybe shared it to one or two groups, but this is one of those. I wanted
Yeah.
Jesus to take the wheel on this post, and it was viewed over 1 million times, and the comments were very enlightening. People were like, "Yes, I hate the size of the Excel class ships. The Dream class was my class, and look, I don't care if you take me on Carnival's oldest ship or Carnival's newest ship, I'm going to have the time of my life
That's right.
because cruising is seriously what you make of it. And some condensation on the ceiling in Ocean Plaza. Some people might allow that to completely ruin their
Oh
cruise,
yeah.
and they might want to try to sue Carnival, and they're
Yeah.
just looking for a nickel. Look, I get it. If you own anything in your life, you got to do some upkeep to it,
Yeah.
and you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
Um, some of these people probably got a heck of a deal on this cruise because of a casino offer or
Yeah.
something like that. But cruises are still pricey.
They are.
Um, so, I mean, just don't let small things like that ruin your vacation because I have been around people that they just love to be a negative Nancy.
They try to
And
find anything. Yeah.
I'm like, it's not worth it to come on, let's get over it. we need to have an episode that's just called "Get Over It." Of course, we
That's
might lose a couple followers, but hey,
right.
but yeah, I've got my own list of "Get Over It's."
That's right. Exactly right. I did want to point out too, the condensation that we were talking about. If it's June in the Caribbean, and
Yeah,
The Ocean Plaza has the walkway in and out, so some of that is, it is excusable. But like you said, Amanda and I were like, hey, the condensation is dropping on us, no big deal. Whereas some people are like, oh my gosh, I'm going to guest services that just got on my dress that cost $500.
yeah,
Again, cruising is what you make of it. It really is. Um, it was a great cruise. I do want to share one more thing, Alex, and then I think for this next episode we may talk about your Alaskan cruise. We're at 42
yeah,
minutes already, but we're going to talk Alaska. Your second cruise to Alaska, like in a matter of weeks. Talk about the differences
yep.
there. I want to share this. It was a touching story, and it was so unexpected. I have not shared this on Island Time. I haven't shared this with anyone yet. Um, it was Father's Day on this cruise. Sunday was Father's Day, and in Ocean Plaza by Alchemy by Red Frog Pub, there's foosball and shuffleboard, and my kiddos like to play those games. And if we weren't playing those games, other kids were playing those games. But there was one night just before dinner that we went there, and there was a young girl and her mom there. And her mom was sitting down, and the young girl was playing shuffleboard, and Beckett jumped right in and started playing shuffleboard with her and trying to teach her
Oh,
the rules and things like that. And the mom was sitting there, and she was visibly upset. And I'm not probably the best person in a situation like that. I'm like, do I say something to her? Do I not say something to
right.
her? Is she upset with someone on board? Did something happen back at home and she got news of something? Um, but she alleviated all that for me. And she said, if she was Hispanic, she said, Happy Father's Day. And I smiled at her and I said, of all the titles or hats that I wear, that one is my favorite. That's the one I really try to do a good job at. And she got more emotional. And I asked her, I said, what's going on? That's all I said. What's going on? And she said and she was relatively young. She looked just a little bit older than I am. She said, "I lost my husband last Father's Day. He passed away on Father's
Oh
Day."
man. Mm.
And her daughter was there. She was 12. It was her dad, and so it was. She said, "We went on this cruise because I wanted to get away from all the Father's Day festivities." But Carnival did a fantastic job celebrating Father's Day. Had Father's Day trivia. Had dad jokes. A dad joke
Yeah.
session. They had cakes with Happy Father's Day. It's being served throughout the ship, not just at the buffets. And she had never been on a cruise before ever, and was scared to go. Her name was Mercedes. She
Yeah.
from San Antonio, Texas. But it was a moment where the two of us, God had destined us to connect. Because
Yeah.
once I understood
Absolutely.
what was wrong with her and why she was upset, then I was able to step in and say, "Look at you go, Mercedes. You've had
Yeah.
this tragic event." And I think she had spent. This was on Sunday. We got back Monday, so I think the majority of the cruise, I think she was upset, and didn't have the personality maybe to get to know people. And so I'm glad
Yeah.
I ran across her because we talked for probably an hour. Matter of fact, our table was canceled for dinner, and we had a whole mess with that because Amanda she wasn't close to me. She was like, "What is Derek doing over there?" And she finally came over there.
Yeah.
Um, because I was able to say, "Mercedes, look at you go. You work hard.
Yeah.
Yes, you're a single mom. You've got this daughter who is smiley and bubbly and interacts with kids. You were able to take her on this cruise. This cruise was not cheap. It's your first cruise. It's the middle of June,
Yeah.
and you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing." And we talked through the whole game. My daughter says I need to start dating other people, and uh, you know,
Oh my goodness.
and our
Oh,
daughter trying to
that's
be her
chills. Chills.
yes, our
Chills.
daughter trying to be her cheerleader, and she says I feel guilty when I try to do that, and well, I'm not the professional at all. I said you got to take care of yourself as well as your daughter,
Yeah.
and I said you're giving 1,000,000% at taking care of your daughter. She goes to private school, and you brought her on this trip, and she's involved in sports. You're killing it. You're killing it,
Yes.
Mercedes.
Absolutely.
But you got to take care of yourself too, because if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to take care of your daughter. And
That's
she
right.
just busted out crying. And she said, "Derek, I've never," and she didn't know me before by any means, and I never mentioned any of this. Um, she said, I've never thought about that. I've always been focused on her." And I said, "Well, don't change your focus per se, but take care of yourself too." And it was just another moment, in cruising, where you meet people that you don't know, and sometimes you're
Yeah.
laughing, and everything is fun and games. Most of the time it's that way, but sometimes too,
Sure.
you come across somebody that needs that person to say hello to them, that needs that person to talk to them. And I hope she had a great, it was the last night, but I hope that she had a great rest of the cruise. And I hope that when she gets home, that she takes care of herself. It's a reminder to us all, especially with those of us who take care of older parents, those of us who have kids take care of younger kids, and we give so much. Some people are just like this anyway. They give so much to other people that we forget sometimes to take care of ourselves. And we're not talking about being selfish. We're not talking about having
Right.
a big ego. We're talking about doing the things that you need to do to stay healthy, to minimize risk of all kinds of different things that could not make you healthy. You got to take care of yourself and your mental health and things like that. And I had to share that story because it was so touching to me.
I
Uh,
love that story,
and
Derek. I mean,
I
that's
wanted to share
incredible.
it. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, timing is everything. And honestly, I mean, good for you, Derek, too, for going up and just kind of assessing the situation.
Yeah.
Because if it was a cruise related issue, you're kind of the perfect person to run into.
Yeah. I would have.
and
Yeah.
and I think you are such a great dad, just following you on social media. And I mean, you are
I appreciate that.
so involved in your kiddos' lives. And happy late Father's Day. I don't even think I
Thank you.
text you on Father's Day to say happy
Thank
Father's
you.
Day.
Thank you.
But man, I just that's such a really cool story, and that's something that I know you will keep with you forever. And if
Absolutely.
Mercedes is listening, seriously, you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
I know that has to be hard. I've never lost a spouse, but I've lost a brother before,
Mm.
in a tragic accident, and it's hard to. It sure is hard to keep going, but you
Yeah.
got to find those things to get yourself out of that comfort zone of secluding yourself. And
Yep.
I think cruising is a really good way to do that.
That's right. We all need each other. We need each other on land. We need each other at sea. Friendships are everything, and you and I point out
Yeah.
all the time. The only reason why you and I are connected and doing this is because of cruising, and so
Is because of our passion.
yeah, take advantage of that. Meet people when you cruise. Exchange. Ask them, do you have Facebook? Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, add each other as a friend, or take down their. What does your name look like on Facebook? Add these people. We come across people and we have great experiences, and there's no reason for those experiences to end one night or one cruise. Find a way to stay connected. At the end of the day, relationships are what it's all about, and being able to
that's
live
right.
through others is what it's all about as well. And so it's that's what cruising is all about. At the end of the day, it is, and you cannot put a dollar value on some of those things.
That's right. That's priceless moments are honestly some of my favorite times because those are the things that you can keep with you forever. And yeah, at the end
That's
of the
right.
day, those are the things that keep me going are those priceless moments. I'm glad you guys had a heck of a time.
It's awesome.
What a crazy last minute type thing. I kind of live for those types of moments sometimes. I love it's like you guys have a cruise coming up in a couple of weeks, but
Yeah.
you need a cruise before the cruise.
Yep.
And you did it and you did it I love that you document these types of moments with your
That's
kiddos.
right.
And especially Manda too, and with it recently being her birthday and
Yeah.
Mother's Day, and
Yep.
it's just let's just celebrate all of that at one time, one nice family vacation, and I'm glad you guys had a good time.
That's right.
And next episode, I've got a ton of really cool things to talk about of
I cannot wait.
comparing Alaska within going to Alaska twice within a 3 to 4 week window. Guys, the second time I went to Alaska this summer, it was a completely different experience than my first week.
Mm.
And I was on the same ship, same itinerary, same crew. It was the same everything. But like I've said in previous episodes, Alaska, the weather changes consistently. And I'm just getting chills talking about some of the experiences I had.
Oh
And
man.
yeah, can't wait to deep dive into that. And we're at 52 minutes, so I need to wrap
Absolutely.
this up. I blab way too much, but
Hey.
if you haven't followed us on YouTube yet, hit that subscribe button. If you haven't followed us on the Cruisers Podcast on Facebook, follow us there. I'm starting to get more active within the Cruisers Podcast Facebook page.
Yeah.
Derek does a lot of the recording and editing and some of the behind the scenes stuff, and I'm going to run as fast as I can with the social media aspect of it. So, yeah, give us a follow, and I can't wait to see you guys next episode.
That's right. And be sure to, this is a busy cruising season, as we've discussed on the show today. Some of you just cruise at the beginning of summer. Some of you are counting down the weeks, the days, the hours. If you're cruising this summer, July and August, even into September, let us know. We would love to see and check off maybe how many different ships are our audience cruising from. So comment your cruise line, your sail date. We would love to see, do we have 20 different ships of people who are in this community? Are there 40 different ships? Who knows? So be sure you share. We know that you're excited to cruise as well, and we want to live through you.
That's right. Well, thank you for hanging out with us. This is the Cruisers Podcast. I'm Alex.
And I'm Derek, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.